Hi everyone, welcome back to the Book Bakht channel. I'm Bakhtawar and I do bookish videos, book reviews, hauls, other things like that. Today I have a haul video for you. These are all the books that I got recently. These are part of all the books that I got since this lockdown started. So yeah, I'm going to be filming it in parts as the orders come through and all of that. So yeah, first we have Love in the Time of Cholera by Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I read this many years ago, but I lost my copy very unfortunately it's a very disturbing story. Because obviously Gabriel Garcia Marquez won the Nobel Prize for Literature. He's very famous. He's supposed to be one of the best authors to ever come out of Spain. Although obviously there are many others. But I must admit I'm actually very underread in Spanish literature. Is that a word? Underread. If there was, that's what I am. So I'm looking to experiment more, but I've had difficulty finding the ones that, you know, like Javier Marquez and things like that. I've had difficulty finding their books. Next we have Kafka on the Shore by Murakami. This is obviously a very popular novel. It's a coming-of-age story of a teenager's angst and existential dread. I think that it's it's named Kafka on the Shore because the teenage protagonist kind of identifies with Kafka and his struggles with identity and with society. I think it's sort of along those lines. And apparently this book, funnily enough, has many riddles in it, which I think Murakami said in an interview that he intended it to be that way, to leave all of these riddles, which may not. I don't know how much sense they would make to somebody who's a foreigner to Japan and Japanese literature, so I don't know. I can't be sure. But anyway, I'd heard good things about this, so I'm going to give it a read, maybe review it. So next we have The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat by Oliver Sacks. This is a really famous 80s or 90s book. I think maybe our parents' generation read this a lot. It's a story of, it's actually not a story, it's a collection of experiences by this neurologist. I think it's a collection of his most bizarre cases, his most bizarre patients. And he's kind of, he really, apparently this is supposed to be a complete treasure in understanding the secrets and mysteries of the subconscious and everything. And so I really want it says here, populated by a cast as strange as that of the most fantastic fiction, Dr. Sacks shows the awesome powers of our mind and just how delicately balanced they have to be. That's really good. I'm looking forward to this. Next we have a very random book which actually is part of my efforts to increase my own knowledge of sort of the beginnings of English literature, if you will. I have a couple of other books that I've ordered which sort of deal with the same, because there's many really, really old poets and writers that some of which I'd never even heard of and most of which I had not even read. So I found that to be a real gap, and that's why I've sort of ordered this book to kind of educate myself better, if you will. An Outline History of English Literature by the historian W.H. Hudson, who also was an ornithologist, is it called? That word's too hard for me. Apparently that's somebody who studies birds and their natural habitat. We have My Sister, the Serial Killer. I think a lot of people have heard of this. This is very popular and it's available everywhere. But anyway, this is a black comedy. It's supposed to be really funny. It's about this girl who has to deal with her sister's need to perpetually murder all her boyfriends. And, she's always the first person that's called to clean up the mess with bleach, rubber gloves, nerves of steel, and a strong stomach. So I love that. Yeah, it's supposed to be really brilliant, shortlisted for the Women's Prize for Fiction 2019. This is again a random, very, very random purchase. TED Talks, the official TED Guide to Public Speaking by Chris Anderson, who is the head of TED. That rhymes. So I really don't know if this is any good. I was actually in the process of planning a seminar on public speaking before the lockdown happened and before this whole COVID-19 crisis happened. So I'd ordered a lot of books that dealt with public speaking, although I've been alright with public speaking throughout my life. Next we have Guns, Germs and Steel by Jared Diamond. This is a book that was really popular in the 90s. If I'm not wrong, it was published in 1997. And so apparently this is the history of everybody for the last 13,000 years. and it's now like considered a modern classic, and it's really beautiful. I've actually read a chapter of it so far, and I've already learned so much. This it's very reminiscent of The Story of Philosophy by Will Durant. If you've not read it, I highly recommend it. I might actually do a review on that, because that book is available everywhere, and it is the most remarkable collection of work, condensation of thousands of years of knowledge that I've ever seen. But then again, I'm not an expert on that, so I don't know. But this sort of seems like it's built around the same context, that it's like, again, thousands of years of history condensed in just really smart prose. So I'm really looking forward to this. I've learned already in the first chapter so far that we are unaware of 99.9% of human history, because writing only started around 3000 BC. So we actually have no written records of anything before then. So you know, when you see all of these psychologists, when you watch lectures and stuff, you see all of these psychologists, they're always referring to, oh, you know, in human history, this part of our brain did this, and then, you know, and now that's why, you know, lots of parts and lots of reactions we don't fully understand, because they were built for a different kind of world, and we were a certain type of human race for so long that, you know, we still have primitive parts of our brain or whatever. So works like this, they kind of make sense in that regard, I suppose. Then we have another Man Booker Prize winner. Actually, none of the others were Man Booker Prize winners. It's Lincoln and the Bardo. Is it Bardo or Bardo? By George Saunders. This is again supposed to be really funny. It's based on a true-ish incident of Lincoln, who lost his son and then used to spend kind of nights and days kind of pining away at the grave. And the writer has kind of built the story up from that. I think it's supposed to be comedic, but I'm not sure. So I might review this. Then we have a book that I've already partially started reading. It's An Era of Darkness by Shashi Tharoor. I think just like anyone else, I came across Shashi Tharoor in this Oxford talk that he did, which went viral or whatever. And he said some things which a lot of people thought were very sensible. You know, I've heard really good things about this book. I wanted to give it a read. The prose is obviously very, very beautifully written. He has a way with words, even when he speaks, and, you know, you see his interviews. So I'm going to give this a read. It's relatively short for the scope of events that it covers. So that's good. So that's all, you guys. Hope you enjoyed my little haul. Please consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. Take care of yourselves and happy Ramadan. And I'll see you next time.